Hello, hi guys, welcome to Two Docs Podcast. Dr. Aly here.
And Dr. Ingky, and welcome to the podcast. Two medical doctors occasionally speak on medical stuff, sometimes non-medical stuff, and we like to share ideas.
Yeah, we like to share ideas, we like to share concepts, or what we learn, or even experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
So on and off, one share, the other one will just chip in, and we hope to share more to you too.
So what are we sharing today?
By the way, you got the intro right this time.
Oh, really?
Anyway, coming to the month of November.
Yep.
So November, there's this movement called Movember. Movember.
Okay, what's a Movember?
Movember basically is mustache on November.
Okay.
So are you gonna grow mustache? Shall we do the whole non-shave November thing?
I can, but okay.
Let's see how scruffy you will look.
All right, can. Okay. Now I have a question. I've seen
You've
that.
seen it?
That
Yep.
no shave November thing.
Yep.
But am I allowed to trim it? Because it can be a little bit shaggy and a little bit unruly.
I know.
Can I like trim it a little bit?
I think can trim a little bit, but basically we let it lengthen. Let it lengthen.
Okay.
But if it starts to curl into unsightly areas, then we trim it down.
Okay, all right.
Scissors trim, but no shave.
Scissors trim,
No shave. Right?
Okay.
We'll do this November challenge.
Okay, Ken. I think it's doable. Let's see at the end of November how long we grow up.
I think it's less detrimental than when we did the nicotine gum.
Oh yeah, definitely.
In case if you missed the nicotine gum, it's somewhere in the back episodes whereby we actually tried to take nicotine gum, and there's some fun things that you should just go back and rewind and watch.
Yep, exactly.
So anyway, coming back to Movember. So Movember was created, I think, a little bit commercially and also to create awareness. But at the end of it, it's not just about the mustache growing thingamajig.
Okay.
It's more on Men's Health Awareness Month. So there's a movement to dedicate the whole of November into recognizing and to give more awareness into male health awareness.
Okay, so how does not shaving translate to men's health?
Absolutely nothing. But it's fun to just do something for the whole month. While it's busy growing, you start to grow some awareness also.
Okay.
But let's talk about some facts on male health-seeking behavior.
Okay.
Now, I don't have all the statistics in Malaysia, so I'm going to just plug statistics that I got off the internet, which deals in the US.
Okay.
Now, in the US, about 300,000 men die from cardiovascular diseases.
All right. So 300,000. So roughly about
0.1 population.
0.1 population, because there are roughly about
300 million.
So 0.1 population die on a yearly basis.
On a yearly basis, 0.1 population, and this is male, not just the male population, but male to make up for the whole US population die from cardiovascular disease. That's really, it's huge. And apart from that, about 700,000 men get diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, that's actually quite high.
Very high.
Oh, more than double.
More than
amount
double.
Of men who die of cardiovascular, right? About 700,000 men actually get diagnosed with cancer. All right.
And out of this 700,000, 300,000 of them will eventually succumb to the cancer.
So about
another
close to
0.1%.
half. All right, close to half
the men will succumb
to cancer. All right, it's quite high.
It's very high. And out of this 700,000 that was diagnosed, 230,000 were actually prostate cancer.
Wow, that's actually really high. That means that roughly about how many? Is it 1/3? Roughly a one third
of men who
cancers,
get, or for men diagnosed for cancer,
are actually prostate.
Prostate cancer. So this makes a very huge thing, and I haven't even gone into another segment of the men's health, which is the mental health. Okay, so recently, what's the guy's name? Matthew Perry.
Yes.
Matthew Perry. So Matthew Perry passed away. He's Chandler Bing from Friends. Now there are many ongoing theories of why he died. They're still doing the post-mortem, but they do notice one of the things that occurred to him was also mental health deterioration.
Yes, that's right. So I think he gave an interview not too long ago, and also he wrote a memoir.
Yes, he did.
Whereby he detailed his struggle with addiction, especially Vicodin and opioid addiction.
Correct.
And on top of that, he had alcoholism.
Correct.
So he had a drinking problem.
Plus he was overweight. He was dealing with weight issues also. Even obesity makes up to be about 60% of American male problem. So when you factor all this in, right, it's a lot of things that are happening in the male population.
Yep.
And interestingly enough, there are a couple of facts which are very important, which I want to highlight in today's episode. And one of it, fact number 1, men in general, not just Americans, men in general have poorer health-seeking behavior than females.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree.
You agree?
Because most men actually kind of put off that they are not feeling well.
Correct.
Yeah, they will actually put it off, or sometimes they will just brush it off.
Yeah, they brush it off. I mean, maybe it's a bit of an ego thing, maybe it's a bit of a macho thing, but also maybe because we cannot afford the downtime.
Yes, that's right.
Because you need to balance your work, you need to balance your family, you need to balance so many other things, and there are a lot of social, there are written and unwritten expectations out of men.
That's true.
Sometimes these expectations are self-imposed.
Yes,
It may not even be from society.
I totally agree. A lot of them are actually, I would say partially is self-imposed, whereby you feel that maybe, you should not voice out. All right, it means I have this particular problem and I should not voice. I should not seek help because maybe seeking help would unmask certain things. And number one, I might be weak. All right. Number two, that I might require assistance from someone else because most men pride themselves as being independent.
Correct. And being strong.
Yeah.
Being a bit of the alpha male.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And also a lot of men do not like the idea of a slippery slope of finding out something that they didn't want to know.
Yes.
It's a bit like what the term ignorance is bliss.
Yes.
If I don't know about it, therefore I'm not ill.
Yeah, correct.
But the moment I know I'm ill, it's a slippery slope all the way down.
That's right.
And that actually accounts to be about 20% of men who actually have fear of diagnosis.
Oh, that's pretty high.
That's
actually.
high. That means one in
5.
every 5 guys, right, are actually afraid to see the doctors or to get themselves checked because we're afraid to find out something that's there that we didn't want to know, or we just want to ignore that it was there in the first place. That's huge.
I would say that is actually quite detrimental because a lot of illnesses are discovered through wellness checkups.
Correct.
Right? That means if you go for health and wellness checkup, that's where sometimes you incidentally discover that you might have a health issue.
Correct.
And most of the time, this sort of health issues are caught early on, right? During a wellness checkup.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid, if you fall under the category of someone who's afraid of
which is 1 in
diagnosis,
5.
Yeah, which is 1 in 5.
5.
It means you tend to delay, and by the time you actually get your diagnosis, it might be a little bit too late.
Yes. And in fact, not now that we mentioned 1 in 5 are afraid to a fear of diagnosis, 40% of men only go when they are very seriously ill.
Oh, actually, that's really high.
So that's the other extreme.
That's
so
the
the 20% don't want to go because they don't want to know.
Yep. And the other 40%.
And the other 40% who eventually go, usually go in the last stages, whereby they're really, really ill, then only go, or they are incapacitated and someone has to bring them there. That's also a very poor health-seeking behavior.
Yeah. Then if you calculate that, it means that more than 60%, I would say roughly about 60% of men actually have high risk, right? Prone to actually illnesses and succumbing to illnesses.
Correct. And as you said, if you don't detect early, there's a lot of things that you can't do. Now, let me put this challenge to you, Ingky. Let's say tomorrow, you and I went to do a scan, and then let's say, touch wood, all right? This is for theoretical purpose. You found out you had an AVM in your brain.
Okay.
What would you do? Will you wait and see? Or would you want to start looking into options?
Oh, definitely I would. If it's possible and I detect the AVM very, very early on, I would definitely try and seek for any medical interventions because we know that AVMs are a little bit dangerous, right? So basically, you can get a stroke anytime, right? You can collapse and you can die anytime. And I want to be able to actually avoid it, right? Or at the same time, I want to be able to prep myself and my family for the
eventuality something happens.
Eventually something happens to me, whereby if I do not seek any medical interventions early on, or if while seeking medical interventions something happens, I want to make sure that everything's really prepared, especially for my family.
Yeah. So anyway, for our listeners, AVM is an arteriovenous malformation. That means your arteries and your vein system, something is not going right. The network has created a problem. Therefore, it might be easy to rupture, therefore causing a stroke in your brain. And you're absolutely right. If it's not just about active intervention to seek a treatment, but it's actually to prep everyone else, to prep yourself, because there are so many things which are not done. And truth be told, we are almost never ready unless we are prepared for it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so that was fact number 1, that men generally do not go and seek treatment as often or as early as ladies. Fact number 2, regarding men health awareness, 1 in 9 men will eventually develop prostate cancer in their life.
But that's actually really high. This is actually more than 10%.
Yes, more than 10%. So Well, there's 3 of us here only.
Well, there's 3 of us here, and it means
it's a 30% risk.
It's a 30% risk.
One
that
of us is going to get it.
Right? So 30% risk is actually really high.
It's still very high.
I mean,
but in general,
in general, 1 in 10 is actually high.
Yeah, that's as good as a 13 to 15% chance in your life that you're going to get it. But the good news is when we said a prostate cancer, it can still be benign.
Really? How?
Yeah. So apparently, while 1 in 9 would develop some kind of symptoms, almost back in medical school, I remember almost every guy will have a close to 80 to 90% chance of developing a prostate growth in their lifetime.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So it's either enlargement, benign. When we say cancer, there's benign cancer and also there's malignant cancer. It's a tumor.
Okay.
Yeah. So 1 in 9 is going to develop something. So and it's also said that if a guy wants to develop any cancer, the best is to get a prostate, but get it early.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Get it detected early.
Yeah, actually, if you detect any form of growth in your prostate early, it's actually highly treatable.
Highly treatable.
It's highly treatable.
So prostate is the second most common cancer among men, but it is among one of safest to diagnose early because there's a lot of things you can do.
That's right.
But most men end up, by the time they're diagnosed, they're in stage 3 or stage 4.
Oh, it's actually pretty late, huh?
Very late. So that ends up you start to have a lot of metastasis. It starts to spread to other places, which is quite sad because if you detect it early, it's highly treatable. Now, again, falling back, since we know it's 1 in 9, go get yourself checked.
Yeah. Just go for your regular checkup,
Yes.
right? Check your prostate. Unfortunately, I would say a lot of men do not like to check the prostate because it's a very uncomfortable.
It's very
medical
uncomfortable
checkup.
procedure.
So for those who have never checked a prostate before, all right, this is what they do.
The truth.
The truth be told, right? They will make you lie down on your side.
Yes.
All right. They ask you to fold your legs a certain way.
Like a baby.
Yeah, just like a baby. And the doctor will put one finger up your bum.
Yes.
One finger up your bum.
But these days,
preferably the longest finger.
Yeah, because they need to really reach out for it.
Yeah, so they will gel it, they'll lube it, and then they'll put one finger in your bum, and then they will move it around, right? Roughly, okay, again, it's fast, right?
Yeah.
If there's no growth on that, 10 seconds, your doctor is done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then take the finger out. And then you have to do it on a yearly basis.
Well, if your doctor asks you to cover it every 6 months, change the doctor. Okay?
Well, provided there's no growth.
There's no growth.
Right? There's no growth, right? If there is a growth, then you might have to come back more.
Correct. But these days, they can also do an ultrasound, but unfortunately, it still needs to go through there.
Yes, unfortunately, ultrasound is still a little bit, it's slightly more invasive.
Yeah, it's slightly larger than the finger.
Yeah, it's actually much larger than the finger, and it's probably a little bit more uncomfortable because you need to move the probe around. All right, you need to basically correct the probe around.
Yep. Because you're not feeling it.
Yeah, to get the right visualization.
You're watching on the screen, and when someone's watching the screen, they don't watch where the direction of the probe goes.
Yeah,
they'll be like, let me adjust.
And it probably takes longer than 10 seconds, all right? But
on the bright side, usually they'll sedate you with some sleeping medication to get you a little bit drowsy.
Yeah, but even though it might be an uncomfortable procedure, it's a life-saving procedure.
It's a life-saving procedure. Now, let's say you're still young, you want to hold it off just a little bit, you can add PSA into your yearly checkup.
Yes,
prostate-specific antigen.
That's right. There is a specific antigen in your blood which detects whether there is probability there is a prostate issue or not.
Yeah.
Right? Whether your prostate will be swollen or whether there'll be a growth.
Now, we're not urologists, so we're not going to give you all the big figures, but generally it's below 4.
Yeah, roughly
below 4. Anything beyond that, then you start to suspect. Then you go see the urologist, who will then do all the nasty work, which we just told you, but it's necessary nasty work.
Yeah, definitely. But if you're above a certain age, usually above 50, it is actually a compulsory thing for you to do on a regular basis.
Actually, that's only because the PSA has gone up.
Yeah, correct.
And and you can't tell anymore. So if you're below 50 and it's high, you need to urgently see the urologist. But if you're like 50, it's a bit iffy because naturally
it will go up.
It will go up.
Yep.
So only if the levels are high. But again, better go get it checked. Like I said, highly treatable when it's in the early stages. And like I said, one of the cancer that in medical school theoretical things that if you want to have one, if God said pick one cancer, that I'm going to give it to you. No choice, you have to pick one. Yeah, for men, pick the prostate, but early detection.
Yep, correct.
Okay, fact number 3. Mental health among men is still a huge stigma.
Yeah, it is.
It is a
It is huge.
huge stigma.
It is huge.
Men generally do not like to admit they have a mental health issue. Men generally do not like to feel weakened by a diagnosis of needing some form of mental health guidance or counseling.
Yeah, you are totally right. So mental health issues is actually highly underdiagnosed in men, and due to this fact, there is a lot of men going around with anxiety issues.
Yes.
A lot of men
Yes.
going around with
Yes.
depression.
Yes.
And because of that, what you realize is suicidal rates are actually very high in men.
Correct.
Multiple folds compared to women.
Correct. A lot more in men as compared to
compared to
ladies.
women, yeah.
And now with more and more social media coming up, you see more of it being reported.
Correct.
Previously, it's largely silent.
Yeah.
I think one of the countries that was silently known, even back long time ago, is Japan.
Yes, correct. They have very high suicidal rates.
Yes, because their social expectations, self-imposed expectations are very high, and they generally, if they don't do well in socially or even economically, they take their own life.
Yep. You're totally right. There is even a particular forest in Japan which is very famous for suicides.
Oh,
because
okay.
this particular forest is nicknamed Suicide Forest, and it's a very eerie forest to go into because people claim when you go in there, you will occasionally bump into
Someone who's
someone
about to
hanging.
do it.
No,
Oh.
someone hanging. Someone who hung themselves.
This is a gruesome episode.
Yeah. So because of that, a lot of times I forgot the name of the forest, right? So I think you guys
You can
probably
Google
do your own research. And because of that, the entrance to the forest there is a disclaimer,
Okay.
right? And they actually warn people not to go in
Okay.
because you might see things that you might
don't
not
want to see.
that you do not want to see.
But it's allowed. They don't.
Again, because it's like a public park, right? It's like a forest reserve public park, so they cannot disallow people from actually going in.
All right.
All right, so it means that anyone can actually go in, but somehow this particular forest has been earmarked for people who are suicidal.
Apparently, it's not on the top 10 places to visit
Yep.
on
Yep.
on TripAdvisor.
Yeah. And even places like the Golden Gate Bridge. Right?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Places like
I was Penang Bridge.
in Malaysia it's Penang Bridge.
Penang
in US is the Golden Gate
Yeah. Now
Bridge.
Penang Bridge. Apparently, even if you read through the reports, it's more men than women.
Yes, that's right. And there are CCTV cameras. Not watching for accidents or watching for potential jumpers.
Yeah.
Right, the moment there's a potential jumper, then they'll straight away dispatch and
the rescue teams will try to go
Yes,
there.
that's right. Right.
So, guys, if you're watching in, Movember, it's fun. We're gonna grow our facial hair. We're gonna trim. We're not gonna shave. We're gonna try the whole November. I think his wife is gonna complain and say, "You are crazy fella. I'm gonna make my husband do this for you."
Well, it'll be fun because I've never actually left it too long. Right? Usually on a once every 3 days, I'll actually go and trim it. So okay, let's see.
Let's see how far we go. So, guys, enjoy Movember. Grow your mustache. It's got absolutely nothing to do apart from joining us for the fun of it, and we will see in the next couple of episodes how we look like, how scruffy and unkept we look. Thank God it didn't say don't shave, don't cut hair. So it's only just
okay. It's just
facial
hair. Okay.
right. In the meantime, please look after your health, guys. Pay attention to your own health, wellness, mental health. Right. I think one of the important things is reach out to your friend, and personally, if you're a guy, go for a reach-in program.
Correct.
You know what's a reach-in program?
I have no idea.
Agree with you. So
not bad.
reach out, reach in.
Okay.
Till then, next week we'll be back on the Two Dogs.
See you.